Step on, hoser.
And welcome, everybody. Welcome back to yet another wonderful episode of Canuckleheads. It was vacation time for me. It was vacation the past couple weeks. I had vacation. I wanted to stream. I had planned on streaming, but I figured, you know what? I probably just need time to relax and take the time and enjoy my vacation and not work. I guess this is considering work. Like, this is considered work. You feel uncomfortable not being able to dislike my page, Gav. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Dawn Wanderer, Andrea, Oathkeeper, Roxas, Gav. How are you all doing? I saw Joey. I saw Dawn. I saw everybody. Looking through my magic lens here. This is on regular delay. I forgot to set it to low latency, so it may be a minute before you guys hear me reply to you. I just noticed it after I went live because I was trying to figure out the issue with my fucking camera that broke. God fucking damn it. Hello, Decaf Geek. How are you doing? How are you doing, everybody? Very uncomfortable. The lack of a dislike button is rough. This is true. This is true. No one can dislike this stream anymore. Nobody can dislike this stream anymore. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. All right, I gotta get my... Oh, that's that browser, so that's why that's not showing. Okay, never mind. Goodness. Holy cow. Mobile still has a dislike button. Cold at the moment. Hello, everyone. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yep. It was one of these days today. So it's been some time since we've last chatted. Some things have happened. Some things have gone on. And it's been a very interesting time. It's like no new news in anything that we've been following, unfortunately. Nothing exceptionally telling, unfortunately. You went to NecoCon. Todd Habercorn and Johnny Young Bosch were there. Nice. CatCon. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, I get the yawns out of my system here. Oh my god. I'm going to give a little bit of rundown. What we're going to talk about today. So I know some people had been asking me about my opinion on the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. I really haven't been paying attention to most of it. I'd much rather look at it as a whole after the case is finished and done and over with. Because, like, this daily thing, like, and, you know, kudos to Ricada for covering it and getting a lot of notoriety for it. The daily, like, sitting through the drama and trying to predict what's going to happen or trying to report what's going to happen, it's really fucking exhausting. I much rather, for stuff like that, look at stuff when everything is all over and done with. Stupid text messages during the show. 1 second. I have to take my medication. And it's not crazy medication. It's just I messed up my wrist at work. I have to take my my anti-inflammatory meds for that. Trial by combat's better than normal court. I agree. So, I haven't really been following the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. And it's every single day. It's, you know, a brand new production. So really at the end of the day, as I get the fucking yawns out of my system, we won't really know anything about it until the jury finally makes a goddamn verdict, which hopefully happens next week. Which, I mean, like, this is happening like light speed faster than anything else we've seen. You took this time in effort to log in, wait for the stream, watch it, and now you can't even dislike it. Woe's me. You haven't watched it either. It's just plain boring. Well, the bits and pieces that I have watched, because I'm watching it near the end of everything, just to see like closing arguments and stuff like that. And it's a lot of petty bullshit back and forth, right? It's a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense. So people have asked me what my opinion and shit on it is. I'm not a law professional, and I think not being a law professional actually helps in some situations like this, because you can look at it as a person, look at it as a lay person, and say, what would I think if I was on the jury, right? You can do that. You can do that if you can separate yourself from the emotional side of it, which I have no emotion in that case. I don't. I would prefer that Kyle. I would prefer that Kyle get exonerated from the charges, because I don't think he did. I don't think he was guilty of a crime. I think he was guilty of bad decisions, but I don't think he was guilty of, intentionally causing harm without justification. But, it's not up to me. I'm not in the jury. Long story short, Rittenhouse case, it's a clowny show. It'll be with the jury come Monday, and everyone should brace for peaceful protest regardless of the verdict. I think so too. I think no matter what happens, someone's going to be pissed off. And I think, I honestly, in my opinion, and I know this is going to lose me half of the viewers, I think that Kyle's going to get, I think he's going to get convicted, unfortunately. I think he's going to catch a conviction. I don't know what the charges are. If I had to guess, at least reckless endangerment, at least like reckless use of a firearm, etc., etc. Hey, Ragnarok Knight, you just made it. So yeah, I don't know what the charges are. If I knew what the charges are, I could probably tell you my unprofessional opinion what exactly might stick with the jury. But outside of that, I think he's going to catch something. I think he's going to catch some kind of conviction. I don't think he's walking away with this scot-free, as much as people have been smashing on the prosecution. From the other hand, from a layman perspective, if I was sitting on the jury, I would actually be siding with the prosecution on this, because the prosecution has been playing up to the jury rather than wasting their time playing up to the judge, because the judge is not the finder of fact in this instance. So I think a lot of people are going to be very, very upset with the verdict and the rulings. We'll see. This would be at the American Rust stuff. This is about the protests in Kenosha. So, no, and I know, Intimidator, a lot of people will disagree. Again, this is my opinion as someone who is not emotionally invested in either side of this. I would like to see Kyle walk, because I don't think he did anything wrong. I mean, the only thing you could potentially argue that he did wrong was fire at people that weren't in possession of a firearm. That would probably be the only thing that you could say he did incorrectly in that situation. But no, I'm not defending anybody in this situation. I think everyone that was involved was wrong. Was wrong to be involved. I don't think any of it should have happened to begin with. I don't think anything of it should have been happening. So it's a really messy situation, and I'm fucking glad that I don't have to be in a jury for something like that, because it's a really fucking difficult decision. That's an incredibly difficult decision to make, in terms of all that stuff. So, yeah, it's a very messy situation, and I hope the best. I hope they make the correct or the most correct decision. I don't think there is a correct decision to make here. A large issue with this entire situation, from what I've been watching from the peanut gallery, a large problem with the situation is that two of the individuals that are involved in this situation are deceased. They are not able to talk about the situation. So you have to look at video accounts and third-party testimony to get their involvement, which I think hurts Kyle's case incredibly so, because I think if the two people that are deceased were not deceased and were able to speak on their own behalf, I think they would torpedo the case for them incredibly so, as we've seen with one individual that was involved, Bicep Boy. And yeah. So, again, I think this is a really tough situation for Kyle, unfortunately. I think I don't believe that he's been adequately represented, and I think that he's getting railroaded because of political means. But unfortunately, I think the jury may or may not see that, but they have to, I think they're walking into it with a decision before the trial even started. We'll see. We'll see how many woke individuals were on that jury come Monday or Tuesday or whenever they decide to deliberate and make a verdict. I think it's going to be a quick turnaround. If their testimony was as good as Gage's, then 100% correct. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The issue here is that two of the individuals that were involved in this entire thing are not able to speak for themselves. And if they were able to speak for themselves, I think they would have won the case for Kyle. Because you can't have deceased people sit on the stand and answer questions, unfortunately. As much as it would be nice to get a necromancer in there. Yeah. No, 100%, he's been labeled like terrible things by news outlets. And it's very wrong. Hello, Action Toys. How you doing? It's very wrong. I don't think that anything... I think the mainstream media, very much like the judge had grilled the one guy who claimed to be a... that was actually probably my favorite part of the entire thing, from what I watched. When the guy who claimed to be a journalist was on the stand, and the judge actually, and they were getting grilled, saying, I don't know if it was the judge, the prosecution, about how journalists aren't supposed to inject their own opinion on reporting because that's no longer reporting. It's like, well, he should be saying that to CNN and and whatever other news outlets are out there too, because that's literally all they're doing right now. CBC has been covering it. They've been basically like piggybacking another coverage. CBC's talked about it a little bit, but mostly they've just been reporting. They haven't been saying murderer Kyle, blah blah blah. They've actually been reporting. They haven't been dictating what people should think about Kyle. So that was the ADA. Yeah. To be fair, Rosenbaum identifies as a corpse, and I fully respect his decision. It is unfortunate for the loss of life, for the individuals that are not little people lovers. That's a topic for another day, though. But no, I think Kyle is in a very unfortunate situation. I don't envy anybody on the jury. I don't envy anybody on the jury at all. That's a really tough fucking choice. Because as per the law, I think the prosecution hammered home, very much to Kyle's detriment. I know a lot of people said that Kyle did a fantastic job on the stand. I disagree. I disagree because he did a fantastic job for the people who are supporting him, right? The people who are supporting him, he said what people who supporting him want him to say. That does not win you court cases, however. And there's a lot of talking points that he made during his time on the stand that are going to be used out of context and that are going to be hammered in through mainstream media. And it's unfortunate that the jury didn't deliberate before the weekend, because now they have the entire weekend to listen to the narrative that the mainstream media is putting out there. And unfortunately, these talking points are going to be front and center. A case in point, when the prosecution first started up, and we'll be done with the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff shortly, guys. Don't worry. When the prosecution first opened up and they said, you intended to come out and murder these people. And Kyle said, well, no, I didn't. I just wanted them to stop. I wanted them to stop attacking me. And the prosecution's like, well, you wanted them to stop attacking you by permanently ending them, by permanently putting them in the ground. And Kyle replied something to the effect of, I did what I had to. Incredibly bad statement, by the way. Incredibly bad statement. Because that doesn't sit well. I mean, as a juror, that wouldn't sit well with me. Unfortunately, even someone who, like, as someone who supports Kyle, that wouldn't sit well with me. Then later on, when they were talking, and he was trying, and the prosecution was going down the line, talking about ammo and talking about guns and stuff like that. I know a lot of people shredded the prosecutor, like Binger, I guess his name is, or Binger, I don't know, for asking like these really ridiculous questions. However, this wasn't for anybody but the jury. What I could understand what he was trying to go for. He was trying to show that Kyle had no idea how to use his gun. Kyle, like on his testimony, Kyle testified to not understanding the difference between what a bullet can do to a human as opposed to what a bullet can do to an animal. He had no idea what the differences between the ammo were. He had no idea what the capability of his weapon was. He had no idea how many people one bullet could kill, etc., etc., etc. So he's pushing, the prosecutor is pushing to show the jury that Kyle was negligent with a weapon that he didn't even own. So I could understand that. That's what he was going for. And I know a lot of people out there that were smashing his head in over it. I think that might get through the jury. It may not. It depends on if everyone in the jury is exactly like Kyle. If they're exactly like Kyle, then they might not understand that. But that's what I got from that. Those are the two standout things from Kyle's testimony that kind of got me being like, yikes, this is danger zone for him. So like if those are things that they bring up in the closing arguments, I don't know, did they do the closing arguments? I think they did, right? And I haven't watched them, but like, I mean, that's an interesting situation. And I know the big sticking point from the last one on Friday was that the judge allowed some sort of instruction, like the provocation instruction or something like that, to the jury, and like that could potentially sink things too. Which, again, I think, I know a lot of people are critical of it, but I do think that that's correct because it's Kyle's walking around with whatever the hell gun it was, and admitted to pointing it at people. So there is potentially something there about, the viability of a self-defense claim. And this is coming from, the closing arguments are on Monday. Okay, I got to watch those. But something about the viability of a self-defense claim when you're waving a weapon around. I don't like it, again, folks. I don't like it, but this is what it is from a juror perspective. You have to look at it and say, okay, well, could this have happened, right? Because you're missing two witnesses to the entire situation. You're missing two people who were involved, so you basically have to take it at the value of what other people are talking about. You can't ask the intent of the two individuals that are deceased because they are deceased. So it's a very disgusting situation. I don't like it, but it is what it is. So those are my thoughts on it. And again, this is the thoughts from someone who's not emotionally invested in either side of this, even though I do want to see Kyle walk away with this unscathed. I just have a feeling he won't, unfortunately. It's like the Chauvin situation, right? It's like the Chauvin situation. You're going to have some stealth person. You're going to have some stealth woke that infiltrated the jury and, pushed their stupid narrative into the jury. So it's impossible in this day and age right now. It's impossible in this day and age because the amount of honest individuals is diminishing. It's dwindling. The dismissal motion was never heard, so it will be heard later. If it was ever made. I don't think it ever was. They brought up a mistrial, and I think the mistrial was denied. I don't think a dismissal was ever brought up, as far as I can remember. But again, I don't think that Kyle got a fair shot here. I don't think he was ever going to get a fair shot, unfortunately. It sucks, but the CDC. Why did Rosenbaum and Huber die from COVID bullet fire? And it was COVID. They died from COVID. It was a sad case. They got shot, and then moments before they died from bleeding out, they died from COVID. It was such a terrible thing. If they only wore masks. Oh my goodness. No, the amount of honest people, unfortunately, in the world is diminishing. So you would think that it's the jury's duty to look at this honestly and fully, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I know the Chauvin case really showed that. Unfortunately, I think we're light years away from where we were from the OJ trial, where we're arguing over pixel color and things like that. It's just like, good fucking Lord, dude. Like, if you're going off in the weeds that much, I can guarantee you the jury is not going. Like, a jury from like rural Minnesota or wherever the hell it is, rural Wisconsin, I think it was Wisconsin, is not going to understand what the fuck they're talking about in terms of like pixel color and and shit like that. That's so far off into the weeds. In Wisconsin, a mistrial with prejudice is the same as dismissal. Yeah, exactly. No, they motioned for a mistrial with prejudice. I'm pretty sure they did. So, which would have gotten rid of the whole thing anyways, but I don't think it was approved, unfortunately. So, all right, folks, a little bit what we're going to talk about today is I want to get that out of the way right away. I want to talk about that stuff right away and give my opinions on it, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are very, very, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chewbacca, exactly. If the pixel don't fit, then you must acquit. Is what I got from Friday. Now, what we're going to talk about today, I wanted to start out with this because there's a lot of people that were really, really angry with the suggestion that Kyle could lose after, running victory laps about how well the defense did, yada, yada, yada. I think people need to calm the fuck down about getting so emotionally invested in things. I would say court cases, right? You can be passionate about topics. This is life coach Crumb coming through here, folks. This is life coach Crumb coming to talk to you once again into your homes, coming to talk to you. There's been a lot of stuff over this pandemic that has driven people and their anxiety straight through the roof. Well, yeah, Kyle's name is completely shredded right now for the rest of his life, unfortunately. And it's such a polarizing topic. But this is what I mean though. It's a polarizing topic for absolutely no fucking reason. It shouldn't be. Most of the people that are the most upset on either side of this have absolutely nothing to do with the situation. And a lot of people look at this and they put their stake into it like it's a sporting event. And I think it's time that we stop doing that. We have to stop zealously following things, right? And be open to understanding that we could be wrong about certain situations. And this goes back for a bunch of different things. There are certain things that you can stick your flag in, and like that's the hill you can die on, right? If you're against little people loving, that's fine. That's great. It's a good cause. Be against that. But if you're fighting tooth and nail to be supportive of a particular individual, or whatever else, that's when you have to question, okay, am I a little bit too invested in this? Do you know the person personally? Have you talked to the person personally? If you have not, then you probably need to calm yourself down a little bit, because you don't want to get to a point where you're blindly following things and that you're blindly pushing your own thing, because then you become like the opposite end of the thing that you're going against, right? You're becoming the people that you hate. Then you start to reject facts. You start to reject reality, and then you substitute your own facts and your truth, etc. And then all of a sudden, you're acting like Ron Toye. So it's just a cautionary thing for me, as from Life Coach Crumb. All right, folks, to evaluate where you are in the situation. Are you close to the person? Are you close to the situation, etc.? And then tailor your emotion accordingly. If you find that you're getting too emotional, step back. I'm saying this not just because of the Kyle Rittenhouse situation and not just because of other situations, right? I've had a lot of people on Twitter messaging me about a bunch of different topics. And like this has been for a long time. And a lot of people that are getting real life stressed out and getting sick and getting like, you know, having mental issues in real life over things that don't involve them, over things that will literally not affect them. So I this is a bit of life coaching that I want to give to you guys, because I want to get this message out there. Like, it's fine to be active and us turning into Toye, heaven forbid. I want people to be active, right? I want people to go out there and you know, be activists for their chosen things, whatever else. I want that to be a thing. Don't get me wrong, but folks, please, for your own health, for your own safety, it goes without saying. Kyle is a prime example of this. Kyle Rittenhouse is a prime example of this, okay? Kyle didn't need to go, and this is an unpopular opinion. I'm going to preface it right now. Kyle did not need to be there, right? I mean, he had a lot of connections to that area, but he was not asked to be there. He was not paid to be there. It was not his job to be there. He didn't need to be there. He didn't need to do what he did. He did what he did because he was passionate about what he was doing. He was passionate about what he was doing. And now he's facing what he's facing because he went there and shit happened. I'm not going to say like every single situation is going to turn out like Kyle. Like, obviously you guys are not going to find yourselves in the middle of a riot and you know, shooting people in self-defense. But it's somewhat similar to this situation because like on Twitter, you're going to have people coming after you. You're going to have people coming after you on social media. Sometimes those people will take things too far. Sometimes they'll go after your job. Sometimes they'll go after your relationships. And that's when things stop being a game and they start becoming real. Okay? So I want to caution everybody out there, evaluate how close you are to the situation and be careful with that. And I'm saying this simply because of some of the things that I've had sent to me from people who have been stressed out and like at the end of the rope, not knowing what to do. I'm perfectly fine, folks. I'm perfectly okay. It's nothing wrong with me. I go out here almost every week and take shots at people because I know I can handle it. Just what I'm saying is know your limits, people. Know your limits. Try not to get too crazy. Just realize where you are in the situation. You've never spoken to the person that you're defending before. For the people out there that are standing for Johnny Depp, for example, or Amber Heard on either side of things, have you ever ask yourself, have you ever spoken to Johnny Depp? Have you ever sat down, had a meal with Johnny Depp? Have you had a drink with Johnny Depp? Have you had a life discussion with Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, what have you? If the answer to all of those is no, then why the hell are you putting your life, your mental health, your career, your relationships on the line to defend that person? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So like, that's just my life coach tip for the day. Understand that if you insert yourself into certain situations, then you open yourself up to certain things, which can be very unfortunate. because there are people out there that are very disgusting individuals. Did Veronica break up? I don't think we'll ever get an official. I don't think we're ever going to get an official definitive on that one. I know that Trace reports. Okay, so this is unconfirmed. Trace reports have stated that Monica had stopped calling Ron, or stopped referring to Ron as her fiance, and started referring to Ron as her life partner. Which, that's an oof. So it sounds like they're never going to get married. They might not get married anymore. They might not be fiancés anymore, but they're life partners. You met a guy once who was at Johnny's house, said the dude was super chill and loved weed. I think in this age of social media, it's really it's really easy to get swept up in things and feel like we're part of something, and that we're part of a movement or a group, and it's really easy to feel like, by clicking something or what have you, that it's making that we are the ones making a difference. We have to realize support is very, very important. Being supportive is very, very important. Showing up and supporting and spending your money where you want to, etc. That's also very, very important. However, at the end of the day, are we going to be putting our lives on the line for these things? And that's where you see a lot of this burnout. That's where we see a lot of this burnout from individuals who are supporting, because things happen that are not necessarily good, or reality hits, right? I don't think we should care whether or not they broke up. As long as they're not dating anyone else, I think they're good where they are. In my opinion, I would much rather them be with each other than ruin anybody else's life. I mean, if they are perfectly fine being together with themselves, that means that they are not interfering or potentially ruining anybody else's lives. I'm fine with that. I am okay with that. You ever wish nothing but misery, you're a spicy bitch. So for example, I had a lengthy conversation with Ron Toye. I've tried to have a conversation with Monica Rial, and she ghosted it. She didn't want to talk to me. I guess I was intimidating. I don't know. So I've tried, and this is what this show is about here, right? This is what this show is about. It's not about just shitting on people. Gav. It's not just about shitting on people. It's not just about that. I open this show to anybody who wants to come on here. So many hours wasted. I don't think it was wasted. I think it was very, very good to show exactly what kind of person he is. I think it's very, very good example to show exactly where his mindset is and what kind of person he is. And that was all done without leading him, without forcing him down a path that he didn't want to talk about, etc. That was all him. So anybody out there that says that I was bullying him, anybody out there that says that I was forcing him, this is a toilet stream. No, unfortunately, I'm just talking about. I'm just rambling here as we get people in here for the main topic. I wasn't doing any of that nonsense. It means you'll give Russell Greer a second chance? No, unfortunately, he won't come on. He won't come on anyways. Folks, this is my rule of thumb here. You get one strike. Okay. If I offer you a chance to, if I offer you a chance to come on, or if you ask to come on, if I ask you to come on, and we confirm that you're coming on the show, you can tell me right up to 5 minutes before the show that you can't do it. You can tell me right up. I'm not going to be a Tim Pool and pitch a hissy fit. If you tell me you can't make the show, that's okay. What I don't approve of. And what the one strike rule is if you agree to come on the show and you don't show up and you don't tell me anything. If that happens, that's it. You're not coming on anymore. Because you're wasting my time, you're wasting my viewers' time. And I can't do that. Right? Like the guest I was supposed to have on before the first week of my vacation, she told me that she couldn't make it on. Like she agreed to come on, and then she said that she was having some mental struggles and she couldn't make it on. I'm like, that's no problem. No problem. We'll do something. We'll schedule it for a different day. No problem at all. I've had other individuals who are streamers agree to come on my show and ghosted it, not once but twice, to go in favor of going on somebody else's show and then tell me that they couldn't make it on mine because of some dire emergency, but they showed up on somebody else's show at the same time. You can't come on this show today. Just letting you know now, Ragnarok Night. No, I'm sorry. I didn't open up the lobby today because I have kind of a heavy topic to talk about today. So, I will open up comments later, but it's going to be a heavy topic today. So yeah, if people waste my time, that's one thing. If they waste your time, that's another. I don't stand for that stuff. So Russell Greer, for example, I offered he was going to be on the show. I have the receipts to show that he agreed. And I'm not lying about it. And he decided, what I'm guessing is some people play Wonderwall. I'm guessing that some people that don't like my show very much reached out to Russell Greer and filled his head with a bunch of nonsense. And he just ghosted the show, so unfortunately. Doesn't matter who you are. You can be the president of the United States. If you ghost my show, you're not coming on. I know, Ragnarok Knight. It is super rude. So that's what I'm saying. Like I will literally have anybody on the show. Monica and Ron ghosted after 2 times where they rescheduled. And they chose the schedule. Going full Mr. Hand on everyone with regard to wasting time. I don't fucking stand for it. I do one show a week. It's not like if I did a daily show, that's one thing, but like I do one show a week. It's not that fucking hard. Like it's not like, you know, it's not like something comes up last second. Oh, you know, blah blah blah. No, I do one show a week. Plenty of time to let me know. Plenty of time to make changes, etc., etc. So it's not like I'm a fucking slave driver. So if anybody wants to come on the show, I will be open to them to be on here, with very very few exceptions. Very very few exceptions. Hello, Zero. Oh my god. But yeah. That being said, and I'm open to having adverse topics on the show too, as we've seen. I've had adversarial conversations before, but I'm generally respectful to everyone that I have on the show. I put the open challenge out to people who were very upset with me the past few months. None of them took it up. They wanted to come on, they could come on. They could say their side, they could say their opinion. I let it open. Nobody took me up on it. So a lot of people have opinions, but not a whole lot of people have the balls. If it's this president, you might legitimately forget. Do you really want that? He's just going to crap his pants? I mean, it would make good content. Corpse of Jimmy Hoffa will be on next week. Yeah, no kidding. Based on the graphic, consequences will never be the same. So it is recompense day today. I think I've talked enough to let the maximum viewership in here. I think I've chatted enough for enough people to pile in here. If y'all haven't noticed, I've been buying time to get more people in on the show. Because we're going to have a bit of a heavy topic today. I really didn't want to do this. I really didn't want to sit here and talk to you guys. Well, especially without my camera. My fucking camera broke today. Before the stream, I was getting everything set up. I had it set up for the tarot stream last time. And so I had to like reconfigure the camera, and when I was doing it, it just stopped responding, and I can't get it to work anymore. So my fucking camera broke. So I wanted to do it in front of, like, I wanted to show you guys, like, I wanted to talk to you guys like face to face, but I can't fucking do it. The stupid camera. You did notice I was buying time? Absolutely zero. But yeah, it's a bit of a heavy topic today, and I know it's a topic that's probably going to be very polarizing. It's retribution time. It's rewind time. It's probably going to be a topic that's a bit polarizing because it's about somebody that you all know. Most of you guys know. Most of you folks know. It's been something that I really didn't want to do because I'm more of a proponent of, oh, you have one that I can have? Hey, Action Toys, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Coming through, MVP. It's a situation that I really hope I didn't have to talk about because I'm more of turning the other cheek on certain things. But it's been brought to my attention that there will be no turning of the other cheek. Hey Randy, how you doing? There will be no turning of the other cheek. Before we get into this though, it's time to chill before you guys completely hate me. It's time to chill briefly. If you want to have a text-to-speech super chat, click on the link on the top of the chat here, right up here. That will give you a link to directly. I pretty much get like 100% of that super chat, and that one is a text-to-speech. So $1 or more gets text-to-speech, so you can have your messages read by the lovely Bella. The lovely Bella will read your text-to-speech super chat. Otherwise, you can do the regular ass YouTube super chats. That's fine. And let me just pull this up here real quick. It's this one. Yes, new merch. We have some new merch. I want to show you guys. This is the Canuckleheads store. If you haven't already checked out the Canuckleheads podcast store, we will drop the link into chat here. You can check this out. We should actually have some new stuff in here, but I want to show you. We have a dartboard. We have the official Canuckleheads dartboard now. Look at this sexy thing. Look at this sexy fucking piece of work right here. Look at that. You can target the maple leaf right on the front there if you want to. You can get your Canuckleheads dartboard. That one's on sale. Oops. I want to do that. That one's on sale 20% off with the holiday code HolidayFaveZ. Holiday Faves. And we also have an official tie headband. We have a headband now. It's going to be a Ninja Turtle. It's going to be the coolest Ninja Turtle. There you go. Canuckleheads headband, $19.95. 20% off with the Holiday Z collection. Or discount code. There you go. Check all of that fun stuff out in the Canucklehead store. It should show up, hopefully. Is Yiffy Lube on there? Not yet. Not yet. Yiffy Lube is not on there yet. And if you're looking for it, it is holiday season. It is holiday season. You can get your official Canuckleheads wrapping paper. It is perfect in time for the holidays. Look at how fucking sexy that looks. Would you not love a fucking gift wrapped in this thing right now? Like, look at that. Look at that. That is amazing. That makes the holiday trees and the Christmas trees and whatever other trees 1000% more sexy. You can use it for crafts if you want to, but you can get the wrapping paper. That's 20% off as well. There you go. $20.95 per roll. Get lots of wrapping paper. and there you'll have it. Tons of really cool stuff on the Zazzle store. Check it out. The tote bag is really awesome, by the way. I actually have the tote bag. I can't show you because my camera's broken. But you can get all these really, really cool things just in time for Christmas Hanukkah. Do all that fun stuff. Some of the stuff may be leaving the store soon, so get it while you can. Get it while you can. All right. Enough shilling. If you have not already checked out the Canuckleheads, the Canuckleheads Patreon as well, $5 a month gets you into the Canuckleheads Discord, where we have lovely individuals like Samantha Flynn and Ragnarok Knight, as well as Zero is in there too. And if you're not a fan of the Patreon, the $5 subs on Twitch. So my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Crumbrion, will also get you into the Canuckleheads Discord. So you definitely make your friends think you snuck out of America just for some great white North merch. Absolutely, Ragnarok Knight. Absolutely. All right. So the shilling portion of the stream is over. So we're going to dive into a little bit of the heavier topic now. So for those of you who may or may not have known, for the past several years, Mr. Hop has been my roommate, or had been my roommate for the past several years. Hey Ken, you missed the shilling and you missed my talk about Kyle Rittenhouse. Where were you? God damn it, Ken. We're getting into the meat and potatoes of the subject today, though. We're getting into the meat and potatoes. For those of you who may not have known, Mr. Hop had been my roommate for the past several years. You love it, heavy. And recently, so October 31st was the last day that he was staying here. And yeah, the Kyle shit. Yeah, if you want to later, Ken, go ahead and catch up on the beginning part of the stream. We're just heading into the blaze now. Yeah. You can watch the beginning part of the stream to get my opinion on the whole Kyle situation. Yeah. Damn it, Ken. God damn it, Ken. No. The roommate issue, Stacy. The roommate issue. So, for those of you who may not have known, he was my roommate for several years and he's moved out. I had to ask him to leave. And I know that he may or may not have been in contact with several of you individuals. Now you have the confirmation. Correct, I was, and holy crap. He may not, whatever. You know what I mean. Being in contact with a few of you, and I have an idea of what he's been saying. Kyle's breakdown was awful. He did a stream yesterday, same as PTSD, and it confirmed it was PTSD by his attorney. No, Kyle's that 100%. I agree. That 100%. It's been a very difficult period for me. For the past year, I would say. Because there has been some differences in philosophy, I would say. Some differences in philosophy. Thankfully, not you. It's not you, Ellie. I'm not mad at you. And it came to a point, I guess what made me decide to finally do this was a comment that was made on social media on November 11th. So for folks who don't know, this is all relevant stuff. November 11th is Remembrance Day in Canada. I know it's Veterans Day in the US. Remembrance Day is like our Memorial Day. So it's the day that we mourn, that we remember, that we pay respects, etc., etc., etc. So I want to take folks back because this comment that was made on November 11th on social media kind of really pissed me off. Kind of really pissed me off and showed me the direction that he wanted to go. Because on November 11th, instead of paying respects to the veterans who have fought for our freedoms and fought for our ability to go on social media and bitch about frivolous shit, he goes on social media and posts that he's remembering all the good times and how his friends have abandoned him. I take personal offense to the implication that I abandoned Mr. Hop. And we're going to talk about this a lot today. We're going to go at length about exactly how much I have done for this gentleman. Exactly how much I have been biting my tongue over the past few years. And exactly why he's in the situation he's in. And how much he has actually cost me. And how he has almost made me homeless, as well as almost murdered everybody in the entire household. I don't talk about this lightly. I will preface this by saying, everything that I'm talking about today, I have said to him directly. This is nothing new. I've just never made it public before. Out of respect for this individual, Mr. Hop. And I understand now that respect is no longer on the table. So here we are. So, several years ago, Mr. Hop had moved in to my house. And because I was looking for a roommate and he needed a place to go. So I took him in. It was not an easy time living with him, but you know what? When you're living with other people, it rarely is. Over the years, Mr. Hop had almost cost me this house several times with his lifestyle choices. The previous ownership, so it's now owned by this place is now owned by a property management group, but had an independent ownership group, independent owner before. And Mr. Hop was not very good at maintaining standards for living. He was a very messy individual. Had a lot of things, and liked to collect a lot of things. This, unfortunately, was not received very well by the ownership, and there was two separate times that his overabundance of stuff, which I had at many different intervals, told him that he needed to cull a little bit, clean up after himself, etc. And basically it came to a head when originally, several years ago, the first instance, we were having a leaky faucet. And Mr. Hop is not on the lease. Was never on the lease. He was a guest basically in the household. He saw the landlord outside, went outside and asked him to come indoors, which is a no-no, folks. Never ever give permission to the landlord or property management to come in unannounced. It's a no-no. Don't do that. He did so when the place was not in stellar condition, because there's a bunch of dishes that he failed to do, a bunch of messes that he left everywhere. The owner came in and to check the faucet out and left without a word. And then I get an email scolding me, saying that I have 1 week to clean the place up, or else I am going to be kicked out. I'm going to be evicted. So I have to spend my time, my efforts to get things up to a standard, and then he came in to inspect, and it was okay. And then there was the time when another year had passed. The basement of the house was full of things. Ron liked to collect a lot of stuff. Ron had a lot of things that he had gotten from his family, I guess. I don't know. He had several of everything, and he basically had no space for it. Kept it all in the basement. Again, kept getting told that he would organize it, that it'd be fine, he'd clean it up. He never did. It was always a mess. He had crowded the furnace, so when the landlord came to change the filter on the furnace, again, I was told that I have to, it's a hazard, and I have to clean it out, or else I'm going to be facing eviction. This is 2 times in 1 year. So I told Mr. Hop the situation, and I said, you have to clean this up. You have to clean this up because this is the final straw. This is when he was able-bodied. This is what led to him to the situation where he is today. So he went to clean the basement. He was cleaning the basement. He was being less than gentle with some items. Some things had fallen over. Evidently, a glass had fallen and broken on the ground, like on the concrete floor, and he was cleaning up for several hours. I went downstairs to go check on what was going on because there was a bunch of crashing and banging going on, and to help him clean up. This is after I got home from work. All right, I'm not sure if I was working that day or not. I remember. But anyways, I went down to go check on him. We were cleaning up a bit, and he was getting very tired. We sat down. And I'd noticed that there was a bunch of black specks, like black marks all over the ground. And I was wondering, like, what the heck? It was a ghost. The spooky ghost. But notice there was a bunch of black specks on the ground. Of what... and so I was trying to find out the source of this. Trying to find out the source of where all of this, like, this weird stuff was coming from, because it looked like oil that was being dripped everywhere. And Mr. Hop moved his foot, and there was a giant puddle. And so I asked him to take his sandal off, and his foot was covered in blood, because he had stepped in a piece of glass that he had no idea he had stepped in, because he has had diabetes aggressively for the past few years and has not hadn't told anybody and hadn't been taking care of himself. The reason that I'm telling you guys this, the reason that I'm telling you guys all this stuff is because this is a pattern of behavior. He didn't want to tell anyone about his diabetes because he was ashamed of it. And he had been going through some self-destructive behaviors for several years. So I called 911. I got him into the hospital. Because he was at the point where he couldn't feel his extremities. He had no feeling in his feet. He barely had feeling in his hands. His eyesight had been going for several years, and he refused to get any of it looked at or checked out. So we got him to the hospital. Cleaned off his foot, got him to the hospital. There was thankfully no glass in the wound. They got it all patched up. That eventually, because of his diabetes, cost him his toes. This was on his right foot, initially. Cost him his toes. because it was to a point where it wasn't healing and it was almost gangrenous. They almost took his foot, but they saved it in time. They got enough. They took out pretty much a quarter of his right foot on the first one. This led to, while he was in the hospital, I offered to clean up his living space because I knew when he came home, he's going to have to diabetic shock. I can't remember the term. I can't remember the term of it, but there's some sort of term where you basically lose your circulation gets so bad that you lose feeling in your extremities. I don't remember exactly what the term is off the top of my head, but so while he was in the hospital, because he was in the hospital for several days, I offered to clean up his living space. To which he didn't want me to. He adamantly refused, but I told him, I'm like, look, you're going to have nurses to come and check on you. They're going to come and see your living space, and they're going to tell you that you can't be here because you're not, like, your living space is not sanitary. It's not safe. So I'm like, I'm going to clean this up so that you don't have to be displaced, so that you don't have to stress when you come home and you don't have to clean it yourself. I'll do it. I spent several days cleaning up his living space. Which, again, a lot of it was very unsanitary. It was not a safe place. There's like forks and knives in his bed. There was like forks and knives on the floor, broken glass. There was all sorts of stuff. It was not a good living space. I cleaned it all up. And this was before he lost his other limb. This is when it all started. It was a situation where if anyone at all, like if the ownership saw that room, they would immediately evict us. Immediately, without question, because of how soiled and how dangerous everything was. I cleaned up the living space. And that was that. He came back home. And he had nurses visiting pretty much every day. He didn't take care of himself. He hadn't washed his clothing in almost 2 years. He had bathed maybe 3 or 4 times ever since he came back from the hospital. Like entirely from that time till now. I'm not saying that week. I'm saying the entire time. It keeps getting worse, Zippy Art. Yes. I'm saying this to you guys so you can understand how we got to this situation now. Hot nurses, I mean, they were okay. they were okay. So they would visit every single day to keep an eye on how his wound was healing and how his right foot was healing, etc., etc. His right foot was not healing very well. So he was in and out of the hospital for pretty much a few months because he wasn't taking care of himself. He wasn't washing correctly. He wasn't abiding by the nurse's directions or doctor's directions correctly. They would tell him he needed to be off his foot. He couldn't walk around. He had to use mobility assistance. He was not to be doing it. We're going to get there, Action Toys. That's a year later. As soon as the nurses would leave, so would he. He would walk around for several hours a day on a foot that he was told to stay off of. He would use shoes that had holes in them that he had duct tape. I am serious. 2 years. Yes, Ragnarok Knight. 2 years. He would use shoes that had holes in them that were duct taped together, and he would walk around in them. He would do this through the winter and the spring when there was slush and muck and wet and disgusting shit outside. He didn't have feeling in his feet, so he had no idea that he was stepping in slushy water that was soaking through his bandaged foot. And he would lie to the nurses, saying that he was off his feet the entire time. He doesn't understand why this is happening. He would lie to his nurses when they were questioning why his bandages were moist. So this led to more infections. This led to more time in the hospital. This led to, I'm guessing, a deeper anxiety and depression with him, which led to more and more soiled mess in his room, which eventually got to a point where he developed another infection in his left foot. He didn't notice this originally because, again, he doesn't have feeling in his feet. He noticed that his left leg was swelling. It swelled up twice the size of his right leg. And he asked the nurses to take a look because he thought it was a skin. He thought it was something that was in like an inflammation in the skin or something like that. They discovered an infection at the base of his foot. He went in to the hospital. They found out that it was what is called charcoal foot. It was, I'm getting ahead of myself. They discovered that the cause of the inflammation was because the bones in his left ankle had separated. They were just free floating. And they later discovered that that was because he had developed charcoal foot, that his foot had literally started to rot from the inside because of an infection that entered from the base of his foot. The infection, which he won't tell you, and he adamantly refuses, the infection was caused from him being on his soiled mattress, being surrounded by like disgusting things like constantly. This is an infection that is like in the medieval ages. This is a sanitary infection. He lied to his doctors about his living conditions. He lied to his nurses, and that led to his doctors and nurses having an inconclusive idea of how this just magically appeared. He told them that he followed their directions entirely, which he didn't. He walked on his feet all day, every day. He did not clean himself. He did not clean up after himself. He had food boxes, stained everything with food, and yeah, it was a bad situation. And I was not aware of how bad this was because he always kept his room closed and he always refused to let anybody in his room. I was not aware of how bad the situation had gotten until he was in the hospital a second time. He was diagnosed with charcoal foot, and they determined that they would have to amputate his foot. And it had gotten to a point where it was so bad that they almost had to take his entire leg. The doctors, the surgeon was very skilled and was able to save his knee. So they took from below his knee down. And he was in the hospital for several months in recovery, realizing that he probably wouldn't be able to come back because he lives on the second floor and there's a lot of stairs. Anticipating that he was going to come back I offered again to clean up his living space. A second time. I went into his room, was disgusted with what I found. It was worse than the first time I had cleaned it. Went into his office and discovered that his office was an absolute disaster as well. He had left daisy-chained extension cords that were connected to several different devices on top of old newspapers and covered by cardboard and old newspapers. I cleaned all of it up. His bedroom had extension cords weaving in and out of his clothing dressers, daisy-chained, several dollar store extension cords put together to have several different electronics going at the same time. This was weaving in and out of clothing, over top of, underneath a bunch of soiled clothing, with food spilled all over them, etc., etc. His mattress was half hanging off. It had been so soiled that it was warped in certain areas because he had purposely pulled his mattress off his box spring to use his box spring as a shelf, which he had kept food and food boxes and built shelving units with pizza boxes. I offered, at the time, our roommate offered to give him a new mattress. And he freaked out. He had a freak out over potentially losing this mattress. So we left it. I was told by his parents while he was in the hospital, this would have been probably early 2021, early this year. I was told by his parents that he was not coming back to the house, that he was actively looking to move somewhere else, that he was actively going to be somewhere else, and they anticipate that he may need just a few months to find that place because he is not going to come back to this house. And I said, well, we'll have his stuff here. Everything's been cleaned up. Everything will be ready for him. Again, I told him, if the nurse comes back to take a look at your living space, they're going to tell you that you cannot be here. So I'm going to clean it up and make everything so that you can at least have a place to come back to. You can at least have a place to come back to. In the very least, even if we don't agree on things, because we did have a falling out. This is around the time that I decided to leave Kitchener Comic-Con. And the reason for that is, and again, folks, this has nothing to do with Kitchener Comic-Con. Kitchener Comic-Con is a fantastic group of people. The convention has done nothing wrong, and don't hold a negative opinion of that convention because of one individual. The reason I decided to leave Kitchener Comic-Con was because when he was in the hospital, we were having a conversation about January-ish. January 2021. Roughly around there. About plans for the future Kitchener Comic-Cons. And we realized that in 2021 we probably weren't going to have one because of the COVID restrictions. But we were thinking of having some sort of limited edition type of thing, etc., etc. And I told him, it's like, look, dude, in your situation, you're not going to be in any position to be able to run anything. It's not healthy for you. It's not safe. And we can't ask anybody else on the team, while there's the COVID restrictions going on, to endanger themselves, because there's people on the team that have health issues that are deathly afraid of catching COVID, because that'd be game over for them. Sunny D's gotten depressed while listening to this. I told you guys it's going to be heavy. So I told him straight up, it's like, look, I cannot ask our team to put themselves in a position that they're not comfortable in, because we want to go out and hold an event that we don't even know is going to be having anybody at it. I'm like, if you want to do this, it has to be you and me running it. That's it. And he said to me on the phone that no, I can get, so-and-so and so-and-so to come, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's not fair to do that to them. And he said, oh, I can pull the heartstrings to get them, I'll just use my, basically just use the injury to apply for sympathy with these people. And I said, that's not appropriate to do. And he told me, with all due respect, they can make their own decisions. And that was the point where I quit Kitchener Comic-Con. It was the point where he was going to use his injury to guilt people into going into a limited event to help him out, when we knew very well it was not a good idea to do. And he told me that they can make their own decisions. So I wasn't going to allow that to happen. So I said, well, that's it. That's it. We're done. I'm like, look, you still have a place to stay. I am professionally over with you. I told him at that time, I'm not kicking you out. You can pay rent. You can have a place to come back to, but I am no longer working with you. It's only appropriate if you're a woman. But he was talking about getting an individual who had a young child. He's a single dad who had a young child. He was saying, "Oh, I can get that person. I can pull the heartstrings on that person and get them to work for us." You're not just putting him in danger. You're putting his child in danger. The guy could get sick. The guy could get his kid sick. I'm like, there's no chance I'm doing that for an event that we don't even know that anyone's going to show up for. And you don't manipulate people like that. Especially like, the universe is out here telling you, hey, knock on the door. You're being an idiot. Stop being an idiot. And instead of being, oh wow, maybe I should change my lifestyle. Actually, no, it's the universe that's wrong. I'm going to use my injury now to manipulate people. And that's why I stepped away from Kitchener Comic-Con. I didn't want to make it public about that because I didn't want it to be a circus. But that's why I stepped away from Kitchener Comic-Con. Was because he showed exactly how much he thinks about the people that work for it. Exactly how little my opinion meant. And how little control. So I'm like, all right, I'm done. So I walked away. And I basically spoke to him through his parents at that point. And I was told that he was moving out, that he had found a place, that he was just taking some time because he has to be in the hospital, but he is not going to come back to this house. And I said, okay, I'm going to keep his stuff here in case he needs to come back. I may not be professionally involved with him anymore, but he's paying rent. He has a room. I have his stuff here. Despite the several times He has almost gotten us evicted from this house. He still has a place. He still has a place to come back to if he needs it. I was told several times that he was finding other places to go, blah, blah, blah. So he was in the hospital for several months. Eventually, the hospital moved him to a long-term care facility. He didn't like this facility. He claimed that people were stealing things from him. Next to doubt. He didn't have anything there to steal, so I don't know what they were, quote-unquote, stealing from him. So he checked out of the long-term care facility early. He didn't come here. He went to friends' houses and couch surfed. He didn't ask to come back here. He was looking for other places to stay in the meantime for several months. Not just stealing, just cleaning up after his ass, pretty much. So he was couch surfing for several months. Hello, Tom. How you doing? The Wendigo got tied up. No problem, Tom. And then, without a word at all, one day, you know, it was because they were telling him to clean himself and take basic care of it. Absolutely, it was 100%. Bloomy, you're 100% correct. So he hadn't spoken to me in several months. I was speaking to his parents. I had heard nothing about him coming back. All I heard was that he was looking for other places to live, that he was working on other places to live because he knew he couldn't, and I quote, he knew he couldn't come back here because it's not wheelchair accessible. That was what I was told for several months. One day, he showed up. He just showed back up. Unannounced, didn't tell me he was coming back, which is fine. He still had a room. He was paying rent. It's his right to come back. I didn't make a fuss about it. I didn't make a stink about it. His room was there. Everything of his was there, untouched. Just a little bit more cleaner than he left it. And that was fine. So he came back, said he couldn't find a place. No problem. I laid out exactly what he needed to do. I said, no more extension cords. No more food upstairs. If you want to eat, you eat in your office, not on your bed. He had a mobility scooter. He had a wheelchair. We didn't have a lot of room in the house because 95% of the stuff was his, and he had taken up so much space that it barely could fit anything else. Barely could fit anything else. The living room was filled with his medical boxes. Our couch was stacked ceiling high with boxes of medical supplies. This is another thing I found out when I was cleaning his office. And this is how I know he wasn't taking care of himself. When I was cleaning his office, I found a giant bag of diabetes supplies that were untouched. He had them for several months. It was a bag that was buried under a bunch of nonsense. He was not taking his medication. He was not monitoring his blood levels. He was not following his doctor's directions. And he basically was just existing at that point. The living room was piled high with boxes of medical supplies. His wheelchair took up what little room was left in the living room, so we didn't have a living room. The kitchen, he made an absolute disaster of. Because of it, I'm guessing the issue with his hands. He wasn't having feeling in his hands. He would constantly be dropping things. There was stained everywhere. He would drop things on the elements all the time. Be constantly smoking the house out. And he was supposed to have been fitted with a prosthetic several months ago, but he didn't like it. So he requested a new one. So it takes another several months to get. The past couple of months before leading up to asking him to leave, he would have nurses over almost all the time, social workers over almost all the time. A few months ago, he contacted CBC News. He contacted CBC News and had them over to my house to interview him about how horrible his living condition is and how difficult it is for him to find affordable housing. He went to the local news and told the news station how terrible I was treating him, how terrible his roommates were treating him, how horrible his living conditions were, how none of it was his fault, how he's living in this cramped, tiny place where he has to crawl on his hands and feet, when he's been the one to create this entire situation. And I heard the entire interview, by the way. I was home, and I heard the entire interview. Let me find the article real quick for you guys. You can tell me. You can tell me. What does that article tell you? So I heard the entire interview. The entire interview wasn't posted of everything he was saying. It was about 1/4 of what he said because he had her here for about 2 hours. He had her here for about 2 hours. I heard the entire thing. I was in my room, and he didn't think I was home. He didn't think I was home. I was home, and I heard it all. We're going to get there, Tom. We're going to get there. So he was trying to do this big woe is me thing about how he was on the verge. This is several months ago, by the way, folks. After not once, but twice, I cleaned his room so that he would not be kicked out by the nurses. I cleaned his room and living space twice so that he could have a home to come back to. Twice. And he's telling the CBC News reporter that he's days away from being evicted because of the horrible way that his roommates are treating him. And he can't find another place. This is months ago, when I have said nothing at that point except trying to help him. When I confronted him about it later, he denied saying it. And I heard him. And he said his excuse His excuse was the reporter took it the wrong way. She took it the wrong way. How hard that bus must have hit you. Believe you me, Action Toys. She took it the wrong way. No, she didn't. She put words in his mouth. And even at that point, I didn't kick him out. Even at that point, I didn't kick him out. He had been fighting with our roommate at the time. That roommate since moved out. I've since gotten new roommates. At the time, he had been feuding with that roommate because after that article, it was out of context. Every person getting caught saying something wrong ever. Exactly. After that article aired, he started having accidents in the bathroom because he was feuding with the other roommate that was sharing the upstairs with him. He would be missing the toilet. He'd be leaving messes on the bathroom floor. That interview was recorded for TV, yes. And I told him explicitly, if he cannot take care of himself, he's going to have to go into somewhere where he can get care. And I told his parents. That, look, he's not able to take care of himself. This is Mr. Hop, Ellie. Mr. Hop used to be my roommate. I told him straight up, if you cannot show that you can take care of yourself, you're going to have to go into assisted living. And he assured me that he's gonna clean up after himself, that he's, blah, 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 blah. All the things that I want to hear, right? And so I said, fine, this is your final chance. The next time that I hear that there's an issue, it's done. Consider that your 60 days notice. So that roommate had left. We got a new roommate in. The one that I have currently right now. Things were okay for a bit until the new roommate started telling me that he had been leaving crap on the floor. He had been apparently shitting on the toilet seat and shitting on the floor and pissing on the floor and leaving it there. And that was the point when I told him, you have 60 days to move out. That was the point. It was not me abandoning him because of his injury. It was not his friends abandoning him. It was because he refused to do literally anything for himself. To clean or take care of himself. It had gotten to a point where the entire house smelled when he was inside it. As in literal shit. Yes, Tom. As in literal shit. It had gotten to a point where everything he touched smelled. Where his wheelchair smelled. Where the smell was leaking from his room. So I asked him at that point, you have to go. I said, you have 60 days. End of October, you have to be out. I said, I'm sorry we have to come to this. but you've shown me that you cannot take care of yourself. And I told him I am no longer going to enable this. As a friend, I can't enable this anymore because he is literally self-destructing. I said, I've enabled it long enough. You've got to go. You've got to get help. So for the 2 months that he was looking for a place, he assured me that he had been applying for places, it'd be no problem. There was a lot of stains on the bed, Tom, yes. Oh, I agree. It's one that was 50 too many chances. 50 too many chances. They weren't surprised, Ragnarok Knight. They were not surprised. So he said that he had been applying for places. He's got places to go. Okay. I said at the start of the 60 days, I said, if you need another week or two to find a place, let me know. I'll work something out. He didn't say anything at all. 2 months. I found someone to rent the other rooms, and they were scheduled to move in November 1st. He comes to me 3 days before the end of the month and says that he's facing homelessness. They would not take him back, Morpheus, because they knew how disgusting he is to live with. He almost burned their house down with how horrifically bad he was at taking care of himself. So they did not want him anywhere near it. They told me that. They said, we know exactly how he is. He did the same thing here. He's not coming back. So this is when I was telling them about like leaving fire hazards, literally fire hazards all over the house. They just shrugged their shoulders like, oh, well, that's Ron. So I said, I'm not enabling this anymore. I'm not enabling this anymore. 3 days before the end of the month, he comes to me and says that all of the places that he applied for rejected him. Now, this is me knowing, because he has conversations on his phone in the kitchen, and I can hear everything. If it's happening on the main floor, I can hear it. If I'm home, obviously. I heard him talking to his social workers, which that's an entirely different thing too. I heard him talking to his social workers saying that he needs them he needs them to find him a place that works for him. He had several places lined up to go that he turned down because it wasn't what he wanted. I heard this. I heard him talking on the phone about this very thing. About this very thing. Because they can't meet his wants. They can't meet his needs and his little bit of wants. Meanwhile, he is on a program. He had been trying for, ever since he came back from the hospital, he had been trying for several months. It's a 2-story townhouse, yes. He had been trying for several months to get put on the lease. And I told him no. Because if I was to put him on the lease, I'd have to sign a new lease, and I'm not signing a new lease. And I'm not putting him on the lease. And he tried everything in his power to get on the lease, saying that he was part of a program from the government that they would just write a blank check for whatever his rent was. Because he's on disability and they'll pay whatever his rent is. And I said, no, you're not going on the lease. And he tried to hold it over my head saying, well, I can't do this unless I'm on the lease. I'm like, well, that's fine. Then you have to find another place. So when he's saying that, exactly, Choosing Beggars, chapter 8 million. When he's saying that, because he's telling me that all of the places that he's looking at are too expensive. They're too expensive. Can't afford it. They're too expensive. I said, well, what happened to that program that you're on? Oh, it doesn't cover enough. Meanwhile, someone who's on disability and social assistance, he's ordering Uber Eats every single day. He's paying people to come over to sort and clean his things in the basement every single day. No, it's not a sublease, Tom. It's not officially a sublease. Because that would require paperwork. Like it's my lease, and I just do like board or whatever. I don't remember the exact term for it, but it's like room and board. It's not officially a sublease. There's a lot of people who would sell an organ for a place to live in, and he thumbed his nose. Yes, absolutely. So he would be ordering food every single day. He would be paying people to come over to sort his things every single day. So for him to say that he couldn't afford these places doesn't make sense. Saying he's telling his social workers, this all comes back to he's not getting what he wants. No worries, Tom. No worries. I don't know the exact term of it. It's some other stupid term here in Ontario. This all comes back to him not getting what he wants. He could have saved his eyesight, but he wanted a full surgery. He wanted a surgery that his grandmother got for free. It's a $10,000 surgery. No, it had nothing to do with a decaf geek. It had nothing to do with it. It was strictly it was strictly just my own. It wasn't a fact that I couldn't kick him out. It's a fact that I chose not to because I was trying to do everything in my power to help him out. So he could have saved his eyesight several years ago if he had just gone in for laser eye surgery. The only ones that were covered by Ontario Works at the time were either going to leave him nearsighted or farsighted. Yeah, laser vision correction. So he could have gone in for laser vision correction, but he wanted the deluxe version, basically. He wanted the one that would completely fix his eyesight that his grandmother got for free. But it's a $10,000 surgery. And it's only subsidized by Ontario Works. It's not completely covered. And so he kicked and screamed and stamped the floor, and he wouldn't get it, so he wasn't going to get anything. So he refused to get eye surgery for several years, which led him to develop cataracts and pretty much ruin his eyesight permanently. When he was getting his wheelchair, he would scream at the social workers. Something like LASIK, yeah. He would scream at the social workers because he wanted a power scooter. He didn't want to push himself on the wheelchair. He wanted a power scooter, and he had to pay for it. But he didn't want to pay for it. Well, that's the thing, Decaf Geek. If anything happens in the house, I'm on the hook for it, yes. Like, if my roommate burns the house down, it's my fault. So, like, there's that. So, which is fine, because I have insurance anyways. But basically, anything that happens inside the house is my fault. If you do paperwork, then yeah, you can split it up like that. But I have no official way to get that shit back if anything happens. So it's a risk for me, but I also have the autonomy to just be like, I don't like you, get out. Basically, I don't have to go through. The 60 days was a courtesy, by the way. I gave him 60 days as a courtesy. I don't have to, because he's not technically a legal roomer here. So I didn't have to give him 60 days. I gave him 60 days as a courtesy. So. But yeah. So he was screaming at people because he wanted a power scooter. Because he was having such a hard time getting up and down hills. He's such a hard time pushing himself around, poor me, poor me. The dude had a knee scooter. He didn't have to use a wheelchair. He didn't have to use a wheelchair, by the way, folks. He chose to use a wheelchair because it would get more sympathy. He had free access to public transportation because of his disability. And he was the most ungracious person on the planet about the entire situation. He's definitely the ones that try to milk every last drop out of government resources. Absolutely, he did. He went to our member of provincial parliament. He went to our MPP and got her to force them to put him on the program where he got his rent paid for. There was a several-year waiting list, and he went to the MPP to leapfrog him into the program. And he says that's still not enough for him. Still not enough to cover everything he wants. And so when he came to me knowing all of this, by the way, because I've heard his conversations, I've heard him talking, I've heard him screaming at the nurses that were there to help him. I've heard all of it. So when he came to me on October 28th and said, I need more time, I need to stay longer, I said no. The room's rented. I said, if you came to me several weeks ago, I might have been able to do something, but I don't know where you get off thinking that I can tell the person that's moving in on November 1st that they have to wait because you just didn't feel like moving. He was looking for places to move to while he was in the hospital, and he stopped looking when he came back here from the hospital. When he came back here from the hospital, he stopped looking for 8 months. And he only started looking when I gave him his 60 days notice. And he had places, and they didn't accept him. And then he was crying about being homeless. 3 days before the end of the month. Trying to tell me that I'm going to make him homeless if I kick him out. I told him he had a whole 2 years to figure it out. He had an entire 2 years to figure it out and find a place that worked for him. Professional procrastinator? Absolutely. Exactly. Needs do not equal wants. And even after, because he told me, because I said, well, you stayed with other people before. Why can't you stay with them now? Oh, they need more time. So that's not my problem. This is something that you should have figured out months ago. This is something you should have game planned for. You can't just apply for a place and expect that you're going to get it. You should plan for the worst case scenario. And I know he already did. He just lied to my face. So when he moved out, he didn't move out graciously. He didn't move out quietly. He went down to the House of Friendship and paid several people who were there to come and help him move. The whole while berating and shouting at them, wasting their time because he had nothing planned. And half of them left because he wasted pretty much their entire Halloween waiting for him. Not only that, oh, he's out now, yes, Decaf Geek. Not only that, he destroyed my kitchen floor. He left his room in a soiled mess. He left the bathroom in a soiled mess. He stole $400 worth of groceries from my roommate. He stole $200 worth of groceries from me. He stole a television, as well as several other things that were not his. And he put it all in storage. He didn't have a place to move to. He put it all in storage. One storage locker of which is not even his. He borrowed someone else's storage locker. And he's posting on social media about how he has to go to Walmart to stay warm. The government is paying for a hotel for him right now. By the way. He's staying at a Radisson hotel. Oh, woe is him. I'm going to show you guys some photos. These are pretty graphic, so I will warn you ahead of time. They're pretty disgusting. I'm going to show you some photos. These photos are how he left everything, by the way. Let me see if I can... Yeah, I can do that. Cool. It's going to take me a minute. Stole a television. He stole a bunch of groceries. He stole like pretty much all of my kitchen supplies. He stole all of the food that my roommate had in the freezer. He stole a bunch of my groceries. I think I already said that. I'm going to show you guys these pictures here. I'm just... Oh yeah, he stole a shower head. All right. 1 second here. I'm going to pull up the window capture for this. Okay. So I'll warn you, some of these photos are pretty graphic. Some people, they're not really bodily fluids, but you'll see there's stains. Some people might not be able to stomach it, is what I'm saying. So this picture is of my kitchen floor. He ripped out portions of my kitchen floor. He ripped out pictures of portions of my kitchen floor. This is my kitchen floor. I'm going to make it bigger so you guys can see. Oh yeah, he's a thief. Absolutely. The stains on the baseboard are actually where the paint has been stripped from whatever the hell he dripped on it. I'm not entirely sure what he ended up dripping on these, but this is stripped paint, by the way. He ripped up the kitchen floor because of his wheelchair. The mat that's on the floor here is covering a bunch of cuts in the floor because when he turns on his wheelchair, the wheel slices the linoleum. The whatever the hell this is. It rips up the tile on the floor, and he cut up and sliced up the floor from his wheelchair. Which I asked him several times to just go forward and backwards and not turn on the floor with his wheelchair. But he didn't care. This is his bedroom. I don't know if you guys can see that well enough. I'll zoom in as much as I can here. This is just a dirt pile. But this is his bedroom. This is where his hands were. This is where his bed was right here. Where his bed was. Is he doing donuts in his wheelchair? I guess. This is again more of his bedroom. So this is the door. He stole the doorknob. Well, he stole half a doorknob. But he stole the doorknob. Again, that's where his bed was here. This is behind the door. You can see, again, this weird staining. I'm not entirely sure what caused that, but there you go. This is what I found. Behind where his shelving units were. He nearly burnt the entire house down. He nearly killed all of us. This, if you can't see it well enough, is melted. That's where a flame came out and burned the fucking socket, by the way. And he had cardboard boxes and shelving units in front of this. This is the wall. He had cardboard boxes and shelving units all through here. And this is where the flame out happened. He nearly burnt the entire house down. This is from him plugging in 6 fans into one outlet, by the way. He had 6 fans and an air conditioner that he daisy-chained a bunch of power bars and extension cords to. And he flamed out the outlet. He had 6 fans and an air conditioner. This is the toilet that he used upstairs. You can't see it very well in this photo, but these markings are where the plastic actually peeled off. By the way, this is peeled back. That's not dirt. That's actually, it's worn so much it's peeled off. And this dirt was all on the underside of the toilet as well. This was the bathtub. This is the bathtub. You can see how often he used it, right? You can see how often he used the bathtub. It was so clogged with his hair, by the way. I had to use pliers to take the hair out because it was so clumped and dried. I literally had to use pliers to rip the hair out, which was the size of a small cat, by the way. Did I check inside the tank? I did a while ago. It was relatively fine. This was the bathtub, by the way. You can tell that he totally used it. And there you go. He stole the shower head. The shower head he never used. There you have it. There you have it. I didn't want to have to do this. I didn't want to have to show people, but it's one of those things like you guys would not fucking believe me if I told you how bad it was. That small cat got a good home. It got flushed. It got flushed. Watch the cat stuff. My food's almost here too. I might have to take a second just to go grab my food here in a minute, but probably to pound the shower head, probably. Very much so. He stole my my 36-inch TV, flat screen. He had people helping him move, Ellie. He paid a bunch of people from a local house of friendship to come and help him. Or he promised to pay them. I don't know if he actually paid them, but he promised to pay them. There you go. And then on November 11th, he posts on social media saying how he's so sad that all of his friends abandoned him because he lost his leg. I mean, after those pics, I had to clean that up, Decaf Geek. I had to clean that up myself. I had to get on my hands and knees and scrub that shit. So that was how I spent my second week of my vacation, by the way. That's not even showing the mess he left in the basement. Because as the day was going on, they were running out of daylight, and he had to be out. And so he moved a bunch of stuff, and he said, throw all of the garbage in the basement. They can deal with it, is what he told them. They can deal with it. He left mud tracked all over the house. Left a giant mess everywhere. It was so bad. It was so bad. He had left all of the garbage in a heaping pile, because we have an area where there's garbage cans. He left a whole heaping pile of his garbage and his disgusting ass mattress and everything out there. He left his fucking underwear on the sidewalk. It was disgusting. Garbage crew took it all. Yeah, I lost my friends because I lost my leg. It can't possibly be because I'm a giant asshole. Absolutely correct. So, folks, I wanted to give background. Right? Was I able to get insurance to pay for the crap he ruined and stole? No, I wasn't, Phoenix. I was not. I wanted to give you guys some background before it gets too far down this fucking rabbit hole, because I wanted to just let this go and let it be. But I'm hearing and I'm seeing people stop talking to me and disassociate from me because he's been telling them other stories. This is not because he got injured, folks. 2 separate occasions, I went through and cleaned up everything for the express purpose of him having a place to be. Yes, Morpheus. On November 11th, he tried to claim that that all of his friends abandoned him because he got injured because of his leg. And he sincerely hopes that nothing ever happens to them or their family. Let me pull up the tweet real quick if he hasn't already blocked me. Let me pull up the tweet real quick. Today's update. Today is Remembrance Day. I can remember all the good times from yesterday, unfortunately, and to be abandoned by friends and colleagues that I could count on. To them, I wish their loved ones never see hard times. Decaf Geek, thank you so much for the 20. Holy crap. Woo, not insurance, but take some America bucks. That's like $1 million Canadian dollar dues to cover from some of this nonsense. Here's hoping your new roommates aren't insane. No, my new roommates are amazing. My new roommates are actually amazing. I wish their loved ones never see hard times. You know what, Mr. Hop? You know what, Mr. Hop? I spent several years defending you. I spent several years cleaning up your shit. I spent... 1 second. One second, my stupid Uber driver is not able to figure out where the hell I am right now. $99. 1 second. All right, I'm gonna go grab my food real quick and be right back. Y'all can talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Don't do anything crazy. Party like it's 1999. Party like I just dropped my mouse. All right, we're back. ASMR streams. ASMR streams are OnlyFans only. OnlyFans exclusives. Oh my god. Things from the chandeliers. Chaos. No, this morning my freaking A&W, like, so I ordered A&W this morning, and the fucking driver was literally outside my house, and he's like, I don't know where you are. I'm like literally looking at you right now from my house, and it's like, God, can't find the place, bye, and they just drove off. I'm like, all right, cool. And this person's like, there's two, like, at least this guy actually walked down. He's like, there's 2.99s. Which one are you? Oh my god. One brings crumb snacks during the Twitch streams. So I saw some chats. 1 second, I gotta scroll back up here real quick. Samantha, you were that tweet reminds you too much of something that Reeler would say. Exactly, Andrea. Jesus, wow, you and I are going through the same roommate shit. Fuck people. They don't deserve friendship, kindness, and generous. That's what I'm saying. 100%. I spent 8 fucking years. 8 years defending this asshole, standing up for this asshole, cleaning up his fucking messes, both figuratively and literally. And this is how I get treated? Fuck yourself, dude. Remember when you crapped on your landlord's floor? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Food ASMR. Boobies. Hi chat, my name's Action, don't mind me. I'm thinking up jokes. Toga. God, I love you guys. No, I honestly, guys, I was, and thank you again, Geek, for the 20. I appreciate that. Guys, I was honestly really debating on talking about this, because I know there's a lot of people that really were friends with Mr. Hop. They really liked Mr. Hop, etc. Cold's Paradise, you've been watching it on loop. It's a great song. It's a great song. Should have just gotten a kimono. This is what I'm saying, Don. Like, honestly, there were so many things that he could have done to make his life easier. He has chosen to go this way. He has chosen to be here. He claims that he's homeless. He's been staying in a Radisson hotel. He's been staying in a fucking hotel while he's trying to cry and complain about being homeless. No problem, Tom. I'm hoping that it's working for you. I'm hoping that that's working for you, Tom. Oh my god, Morpheus. It's not even so much as that stuff. It's the other microaggressions along the way, right? So, folks, I don't have a way to prove this to you. I don't have a way to prove what I'm going to tell you. So take it as speculation, right? I'm telling you the truth, but take it as speculation. He has, at several points in time, tried to adopt some sort of privilege, I guess you could say, right? So before he got injured, well, he probably shits on the Radisson too. There's been a few donations. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm like terrible at grifting, so I'm happy that you're getting donations, Tom. He's attempted at several points in time to adopt some sort of privilege. Before his injury, he hadn't told me, because he knows I call him out on his bullshit immediately. He had told my roommate, not the current one, the previous one. He had told my roommate that he was trans. And that he was afraid to talk to me about it, and he only wanted to talk to her about it. Meanwhile, he refuses to use the proper pronouns for most trans individuals that he comes across. But he was doing it because he wanted the praise and admiration. Yet he hasn't taken any steps to go that route, by the way. He hasn't taken any steps to seek out psychological counseling to see if, that's the right route for him. He hasn't sought out a doctor. He hasn't done anything. And he didn't talk to me because he wanted to use it as leverage against my roommate. Just like he's using his leg injury as leverage now. Because everything he does now is, I lost my leg. You have to help me because I lost my leg. He's talking to people on the phone. And anytime he comes to a minor inconvenience, I don't have a leg. I lost a leg. You lost it yourself. Nobody else did it to you. You had several years to course correct. You ignored your diabetes for 20 years. You ignored your diabetes for 20 years because you said it was embarrassing for you. He told me at one point, and again, folks, I don't have a way to prove this, so take it as speculation. He told me at one point he had a plan to end his life at 50. He didn't want to live past 50. And that's why he went through everything he did. His mother told him that he should propose to me so that we could get the benefits of being married. This is not about being injured and people abandoning you because you were injured. This is about what everybody else can do for you. And it always has been. I told him the last time that I saw him, I said, there's two sides to you. There's the productive person that has a good heart and that has great vision and that has infinite potential. And then there's the person that's this disgusting, wretched little toddler. And I told him, you need to choose who you want to be. You need to pick which one of yourselves you have to be. And after seeing his post on November 11th, I figure he's chosen the latter. So I wanted to tell people, this has been something I've been sitting on. No, we weren't dating at any point Ragnarok night. He wanted to. He wanted to date, and I'm like, no. I am very much a lone crumb. I'm very much a lone crumb. And it's like, it's not even a fact of like, I wouldn't date him because I wouldn't date anybody. Let's just make that clear. I learned out a long time ago that I am not dating material. So I am choosing to not date anybody. But if I had a choice, I still wouldn't date him. No. Make that very clear. But no. I went through every possible fiber of my being. Every possible fiber of my being to help him. I went through things that would even be considered unreasonable to help him. And he, unfortunately, not even you, Action Toys. That's not because of you. That one's because of me. That one's not because of you. Picture, if you will. If he wanted to date you, that must means he must have yanked it to you once or twice. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. After the breakup you went through this year, you learned that you're better off single for the most part. Not blaming you for that. Just make sure it isn't someone like Hop. No, 100%. Like, yeah, no. It wouldn't be someone like that. I have far too much self-respect to let myself get into those situations anymore. That is partly why the reason I've chosen to be single for so long is because I don't let myself settle for less than what I know I deserve. So I am very comfortable in my own company. Let's put it that way. I'm very much good company to myself, so I don't need to have that external reinforcement, or whatever else that word is. But yeah, I didn't want to do this. I did not want to do this. I wanted to just let it go. I had a lot of vengeance a few weeks ago, and thinking about it, it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go because it's not healthy for me to hold on to that and harbor onto it. But then I saw that posting on November 11th, and I'm very. It put me off. It literally teed me off. I'm like, you want to say after everything that I have done, everything that your friends have done. Never mind just me. Your friends as in fucking entirety. You want to say that they abandoned you? You abandoned them at the fucking first hint of any adversity, any single time that you had a chance to. You abandoned them. You looked how you could use them like tools. Every single time, and that's all it's ever been. So we abandoned you? Fuck off. I didn't want to have to come out here and tell everybody about this. But I can't stand by and let that slide anymore. In the actual term, Tom, yeah, he doesn't have a home to go to. But he's under a roof. He has a place to stay. The government's been paying for his hotel. He wants to act like he's out on the streets right now. That's why he has a cell phone plan and internet. Because you can certainly connect to a fucking gutter and get a fucking cable connection, I'm sure. He said he needed a couple weeks before he could move in with somebody. And he got his social workers to wrap up a deal so that they could subsidize a hotel room for him until he could find a place. And that's what he's been doing. And because he's quote unquote living there, he doesn't get room service, so they don't clean up after him. So who knows? Maybe they saw how fucking disgusting he's been and how he's leaving the room, and maybe they kicked him out. I don't know. But again, this is his choice. These are his choices that led him to this path. So as for sympathy, I have fucking nothing left. Zero sympathy left. Exactly, Tom. Like, you're doing it on your own dime. He's doing it on taxpayers' money. So, my sympathy? Absolutely none left. I'm not going to tell anybody out here how to feel about this. Because, folks, that is completely up to you. I am just here letting everybody know I am fucking done. I have left. I have legitimately reached my point. I'm just telling everybody that where I am. I'm not telling you guys to not support him or what have you. I'm not telling you guys what to feel about it. I'm just telling you where I stand, because I can't fucking go. I can't do it no more. I think I've done well beyond what is reasonable, extremely beyond what's expected. I have done everything in my fucking power humanly possible to correct his action and correct his course. There's nothing left to do. And if and my decision was based on, if I do anything more for him, it will just be enabling this cycle even further. And so that's why I took the decision that I took. And if anybody out there has a fucking problem with it, feel free to DM me about it. Feel free to tell me to my face. And I will explain exactly why you're wrong. It was a fucking heartbreaking decision to make. It was one that I did not take lightly. And I said it to his face. I didn't say it behind a Twitter wall. I didn't say it behind a twitlonger. I didn't say it to my colleagues. I said it to him. So, take that for what you will, folks. I know this was a bit of a downer stream, but I had to talk about this. At the end of the day, he's a grown-ass man, exactly. He can only help so much until he has to make his own decisions and do better. Absolutely agree, Decaf Geek. Absolutely agree. And there's nothing left that I can do. Nothing left that I can do. So I hope you guys understand my stance on it. Again, I'm not going to tell you guys how to feel. You guys can make your own decisions about this. But I could not stand by and let him just spin shit any longer. It's too much. And I wish I could have said this to you face to face. My fucking camera broke. My goddamn camera's broken. So I can't tell you face to face, but... Oh, I agree, Andrea. I would have cut him off sooner, but I wanted to make sure that I did everything reasonably possible to try and fix this situation. Because at the end of the day, I have to live with that, right? I have to live with that on my conscience. And at the end of the day, I have done everything so that at the end of the day, when I look back at it, I can honestly say to myself, I fucking did everything I could, if not more. One thing you learn from your therapy is advocate for yourselves. You did the right thing. I completely agree. Advocate for yourselves. Advocate for yourselves. Don't be afraid to do stuff like that. You only do so much. You can only do so much. So, hearing this story, you need a fucking drink? Oh, believe me. That is how I finished my vacation, by the way. My first week of vacation, I celebrated Samhain. And then I got to have the tail end of my vacation cleaning up after an asshole. Which is still not all clean, but we're getting there. It's a lot cleaner than what it was. And the energy in the house is so much better. My mental health is already so much better. As for other people, I really hope that no one has to go through that stuff. And I really do wish that he gets the help he needs. Because he's very, very good. He's very good at talking to people and getting them to feel a way. If he could just learn to fucking clean up his act and clean up and basically take care of himself. He spent as much effort on taking care of himself as he did trying to manipulate other people into doing everything for him. You know, he'd be such an amazing person. But it is what it is. From what you heard, you're a fun drunk. Never claim to be perfect, but if you learned anything, it's learn to practice what you learn. Always strive to improve and admit your mistakes. Absolutely. So I always tell people, it's like I am more than happy to be proven incorrect. Please show facts to show that I am incorrect about something so I can learn. I don't want to be surrounded by yes people all the time. As much as there are very, very smart people out there on the interwebs that try to say that I'm just always opinionated and blah, 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 and I can never be wrong about anything. No. I can be wrong on things. I don't like being right on things because when I'm right on things, it usually means bad things. Because I am very much a pessimist in terms of that stuff. So if I'm correct, then that's usually the worst case scenario. As evidenced by the opening of this stream and my Kyle Rittenhouse opinion. Where if you want to watch it, go ahead and at the start of the stream I talked about that for about the first half an hour. But I'm very much a pessimist on things. Thanksgiving last year was in the bathtub, fully clothed and drunk as hell. Oh, Solon, that was I don't remember what the hell that was. Might have been my birthday or like New Year's or something. I don't remember. I drank a lot one day though for like some sort of stuff. It must have been my birthday. That birthday stream was like off the hook. But I remember scorpion fatalitying the toilet. And to my credit, I didn't get anything else out. I didn't get anything anywhere but the toilet bowl. I literally, like, from a standing position, just fatality'd the toilet. So that's my party trick, I suppose. Oh my god. But folks, I'm glad that we can have this discussion. We can have this chat. It's not a comfortable discussion to have. That's for sure. But it was necessary. So I appreciate you all hanging out through this. I don't really have anything else to talk about today. I'm sure we'll have more stuff to talk about next week. We're back on track now. I don't have any vacations. But yeah, I have to roll too. So as always, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I appreciate every single one of you. Much love, much wonderfulness, all that fun stuff. And as always, guys, like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Appreciate all of the support we've had, all the people watching. Until next time, this has been Crumbrion. I'll be on Twitch later, guys. If you want to hang out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Crumbrion. We'll see you then. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice. Bye-bye.